In this circumstance, how do you, Joe talks a lot about about being multiple. How do you go about evaluating, what guys can do for you, without a lot of competitive opportunities at this point?
Well, first, thank you for the question, but let me start off by expressing my condolences for the Tisch family during this trying time. I know it's hard, and just wanted to take the opportunity to do that. But to answer your question, I think right now it's mostly based on, past film, what we know about them as a player from there, but also just the mental part of it. What can they handle so far? And during meetings, the meetings we had in the spring, during the meetings we've had so far in the last few weeks, and I think it's partly our job as coaches to make it as simple as possible, that they understand the core elements of what we want to do defensively, because even with trying to be multiple, the idea is to be multiple within a limited amount of scheme, just so that, we're doing all the fundamentals that we're looking for on defense, in terms of, playing with our hands, playing with good pad level, setting the edge, defending the deep part of the field, and tackling. Those are the main focus, what we focus on, and trying to focus on that.
Hey, Pat, welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just curious, though, your circumstances coming here. You just got to Miami a year ago. What made you make this jump to come back?
I think Joe, he spoke on it earlier. The Giants went through the process of, contacting Miami. Miami granted permission, then we went from there. Obviously I have familiarity with Joe. We worked together at New England. And so, presented an opportunity to work with the Giants. I have familiarity with the organization. It's close to home, so it's been positive. And, I'm excited to be here now in 2020. So, that's pretty much the extent of that.
I want to start with the back end of the pass rush. You have a lot of young guys back there, specifically at cornerback. And of course, you brought in James Bradbury. There's reports that Ross Cockrell is going through the testing protocol. I know he's not signed yet, but can you just kind of, I guess, when you look at that young group, just sorting that out, because that back end of the defense is going to be so important for the pass rush.
No question. In terms of the pass rush, I think, when you're dealing with young players coming into the league, just like any other position here in the NFL, it's different from college. It's different from college. The pass rush is different from college. And what I mean by that, they got to start to understand and learn some of the intricacies of how to rush the passer in this league. You're dealing with, the 32 of them in the world that can throw the ball. How are we going to try to affect that passer? And understanding that, if you just run up the field, there's a chance he's probably going to step up. He can still get the ball off with accuracy, throwing inside throws, which are the easiest throws. So trying to get the guys to understand how we got to fill the pass rush lanes, how we have to work together to affect the quarterback effectively. And it's a process. And so we're right, in the beginning of the process right now. We tried to tackle some of it on film during the spring. But right now we're in the process of combination of the film, the drills on the field, and just kind of getting acclimated and figuring out what everybody does well, and see what's the best plan that we could put together to utilize the talent that we have. So, again, these guys are young, but, it doesn't matter. Just these guys, it's all about performance and what they do. So once we get to the field, we'll find out and get a better idea.
And along those lines, and this is my second one for you, up front, it seems like you've got, quantity at pass rush, edge rushers. You've got Kyler, X-Man Carter, and Marcus, and so forth. How do you kind of sort through them? Because it looks like, on paper at any rate, you have more weak side linebackers as opposed to maybe guys that you can play. And, do you envision a rotation, or how do you anticipate that might play out?
I think, again, not to be cliche, it's going to be week to week, but I think during this developmental stage where we're trying to find out what we have, they all have, unique skill sets. And so we have to figure out, okay, is this guy a better rusher on the inside? If we stand him up on the inside, is he a better rusher on the outside? Is he better from the left? Is he better from the right? I think it's going to be some trial and error. And, getting everybody on the same page and just, trying different packages, different schemes, and see how that plays out. But, whether it's going to be a rotation or not, it's too early to even talk about that stuff right now. But everybody's going to get an equal opportunity, and whoever ends up being out there is going to be based on they earned it during camp. So it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be fun to work with these guys. I mean, I know this. They all work hard. Brett does a great job coaching those edge guys. Coach Spence does a great job of coaching the interior guys. So I'm real excited to see how it plays out.
Thank you, Coach.
No problem.
Jordan.
Hey, Pat. Welcome back. How we doing?
Good.
We knew you, as the defensive line coach with the Giants. You got experience. You were a linebackers coach, and then you were defensive coordinator. So I'm curious, how would you say, who is Pat Graham, the defensive coordinator? I'm just curious how you look at it. Like, what do you believe in? What are non-negotiables for you as a defensive coordinator?
Well, I see myself, I always say, and the staff will tell you this, the players, I see myself as an old D-line coach. That's what I see myself as, it's more, that's how I see myself, but I'm the coordinator. So in terms of the stuff that's non-negotiable, what we're looking for are guys who put the team first. They value the process, and they play with good football position. So, again, team first, that's pretty self-explanatory right there. We got to get over ourselves in order to accomplish a goal. And, we can't, let our personal feelings or personal objective agendas get in the way. Value the process. I think it's important that we come here and understand there's a limited amount of time each day, and throughout the season there's a limited amount of time. And we have to come in and put the necessary work in and the hard work to improve, and we have to embrace that. I think that's a big part of what I'm looking for when I'm talking to these guys. And then lastly, the football position. That's just playing, talking about your eyes, hands, and your feet. So that's what we're looking for these guys. That's really what we're concentrating on during this early part of camp right now. So those are things that I'm looking for right there. And then I would say there's got to be an element of toughness. And then how are we going to measure toughness? There's mental toughness. We know that. Then the physical toughness. And then I tell the guys straight up, it's how we play the run game and how we affect the special teams coverage units. So, I think that's important that toughness comes out. And I know Joe spoke on it. We want to be a reflection of the region. And this is a tough region in terms of tough people make up this region. I grew up in Connecticut, and so I'm familiar with the area. But, I think I want our toughness to jump off the film in terms of how we cover kicks, how we affect that as a defensive unit, how the guys from defense on those units, and then how we do against the run game. So.
And real quickly, schematically, 3-4-4-3, Joe talked a lot about multiple hybrid. What's your, we saw what you did in Miami, but.
Well, I always answer with yes. So you say 4-3, 3-4, 2-4, 3-3-5, whatever you want to say, I'll say yes. I'm not trying to make a joke of it, but we're going to do what's best, like what we have in terms of the people, the personnel we have, and then what we think is best for the game. But, I would say this, the game is mostly made up of sub-plays, whether you look at the percentages, most of the time there's 3 receivers out there. So I think you got to kind of look at it from a sub perspective and terms of how you're going to deploy the guys and then go from there. But, whether it's a 3-4-4-3, a 4-2-5, they all have basic football foundation in terms of defensive scheme. So they all kind of blend together in my mind.
We're going to take 3 more. Ralph.
Hey, Coach. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. You described yourself as an old D-line coach, and obviously one of your key players is a defensive lineman in Leonard Williams. I'm curious as to what you thought of him, and, the knock on him for years has been not enough pass rush, not enough sacks. Does that necessarily matter to you, or does he do enough other things to be valuable for whatever you're going to do with your scheme?
The thing that stood out for me about Leonard is that the fact that he's been he's very inquisitive. He wants to know why he should be thinking that, what he should be thinking here. Ask him our opinions, whether it's me, Coach Spence, just talking to us in terms of trying to find out how to be a better player. And so far, he's been working really hard, been real diligent in the classroom. From afar, I know he's been a productive player in this league. He's a big body who has athleticism, who plays with his hands, who affects the passer, who can play in the run game. So right there, and he can move up and down the line. So right there is there's a big smile that comes on my face when you're dealing with someone like that. And can't wait to get your hands on him and just, okay, let's get out to the field and see what he can do and be able to coach him. But, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm excited to be around him, to work with him. I'm excited to be around all the guys. I mean, we got guys that, from afar, been very interested in coaching these guys. Dalvin's somebody I've coached in the past, but I'm excited to work with BJ. I'm excited to work with Dex. I'm excited to work with all these guys, whether it's RJ, AJ, and Chris Slayton. I'm excited to work with all these guys.
Emery?
Coach, you guys brought in a tall, lengthy corner in Christian Angulo, and I was interested to get your thoughts on his game, what you saw from him on film. And in a pressure-style defense, how does having a taller corner like that with his ability help you out overall?
I think Christian has a unique skill set, his size, and then he can run. So right there, the ability to play with have some size, where he could be instead of us getting mismatches, he can also help. But I mean, the big thing for him is the size, the speed, and then his willingness to learn. I mean, obviously it's going to be a transition coming up, his first year in the league. But I mean, we'll see how it plays out. Him working hard and being diligent and listening to coaching and going out there and getting in condition. But I'm interested to see how it plays out here in camp with them.
Last question here, Zach.
Hey, Patrick. You talked about Leonard a little bit ago. I was curious about Dexter Lawrence. What kind of your impression was of him before you got here? I'm sure you scouted him a bit coming out of Clemson. And then what do you think of him since you've had a chance to coach him a little bit?
I'm telling you, I met Dex before during the combine time, and I thought he was big then or tall then. Then, you go a whole year, you don't see him. And then I saw him before the game when Miami played the Giants, and I realized, okay, yeah, this guy is pretty big. And then when you finally see him again after, the hiatus off of football, everything was over Zoom, and he's reduced to a 1-inch box. And all of a sudden you see him walk in there, I'm like, this dude is really big. So that would probably be my main impression. And, I mean, he's a pleasure to be around. He has a bubbly personality. I mean, I would say that counters my demeanor that's usually not too bubbly. So, and, has a way of keeping it light, and I like that. I mean, I think a big part of being a coach and being in a leadership role is being, receptive to other people and how they are. And I think, I like that about him. And I know he works hard too. So I'm very excited to be around him. Very excited to see him out there on the field and get this thing going.
What does stand out about him as a defensive tackle, especially when you were coming out of Clemson?
When you look at him, and again, I don't want to default to this, but the athleticism is obviously there. I mean, the athleticism is there. This guy is a big body who can run, who can bend his knees. But the thing that stood out to me, and maybe it's a football thing, but it's the effort. He plays with a really high-level effort in terms of trying to chase plays from the backside. There's a screen play that we show of this guy, he's on the left side defensive tackle, plants his foot in the ground. I think it's against Tampa Bay, runs down. We miss a tackle, gets there. He's running on top of the tackle. So it went from, a big game to a shorter game because of this big man running on the field, and it jumped out to me when I was going back through the tape. So, I mean, not to take away from him as an interior pass rusher, as an interior run stopper, the effort he plays with, I mean, I'm very excited to see that, because when those big guys are the guys leading with the effort on the field, you could feel that. You could feel when the 300-pound man's running to the ball carrier. You could feel when the 300-pound man is hitting that check down. The opponents will feel that. So that's exciting to see, because I think, the guys will feed off of that.